Hi and welcome everyone to this episode of Breakpoint. The topic for today is gamification for hacking humans. Our guest today needs no introduction. He is Jayson Street himself. He's Chief Adversarial Officer at Secure Yeti, a hacker. He's an author, speaker, scientific hooligan, and is an ambassador for DEF CON groups and Hack Not Crime. So what was it like when you started in this field?
Hacking is just a mindset of how we look at the world and how we try to change things and how we try to approach things.
Yeah, I think it's a very positive and a very constructive attitude.
And I proceeded and I successfully robbed that bank branch. And I walked into a dead end. Okay, those are the people you don't really want to interact with the public at all, okay? It's like, why are you so worried about how other people in public are going to perceive you when you're nothing but an NPC in their heads?
So this is pertaining to the LLMs coming in and the AI, the machine learning, deep learning kind of technologies coming in.
And that is how you use AI.
Welcome to Breakpoint Security Podcast, folks. Join us as we explore the fascinating world of smart security teams and their cutting-edge security and engineering practices. We'll share fun and engaging stories about clever optimization techniques that scale your defenses and also keep your data safe. Tune in and be a part of the conversation where exciting innovation meets real-world application in cybersecurity. This season has been special, and I will not be wrong in saying that this is one of the most special episodes that we have shot till now. This especially for you. It might come to you more like a climax than like the first episode. You will know why. The guest, who's Jayson Street, was open and kind enough to share a ton of stories that he had in this space while we were trying to understand the nuances of social engineering better through his stories. There's a lot of reality and practicality in what he was talking about. And for all of us who are aspiring as hackers and trying to do our best wherever we are, there are a lot of nuggets of knowledge that you will get from this video. So I would say tune in and check it out, then stay till the end. You will stay till the end, I know. And yeah, also check out the rapid fire. It's going to be very, very interesting. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to Breakpoint, Jayson.
Thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
How have you been?
I've been doing pretty good. It's been really busy, getting too many projects. It's like not enough time or attention. So it's like doing my best.
So I think I've been hearing that a lot with a lot of us, especially after COVID. Things have changed and everybody's, back on their feet. So a lot of work. That's a good thing.
Yes, it's been getting pretty crazy, pretty hectic, but it's a good thing that I've got stuff to do. I just wish I had enough executive function to actually accomplish all of them.
Yeah, that will be a good problem to have.
Yeah.
So last time we met, which I think many of us who were there in B-Sides Goa, and it was amazing to hear you speak of all the exploits that you have done. And there was a time when I was thinking about, you might have started, because there are so many things that, especially in terms of physical pen testing and in the space of social engineering that you have done, there must be a lot in store. And I was wondering where to start. And I thought, why not start from the beginning? So and I think a lot of our guests, a lot of our listeners will be keen to understand the beginnings that you had. So what was it like when you started in this field? Like, where did you start? Like, can you share some initial but very memorable hacks? So we may do a lot of them. There are many that we forget, but some just stick with us. So do you have such a memorable story of that time?
Yeah, it's like a lot of people, if you're not familiar, it's like my background is not the typical, way that you get started in IT. I'm a high school dropout who used to live behind a dumpster. It's like I used to be homeless when I was in my teenage years. It's like I also worked with physical security and law enforcement. And then I got into help desk because I got tired of getting shot at. And and then 2000, I started in IT security. And I think one of the first things I did in IT security was I built defenses, and I looked at trying to build defenses and protect companies based on being a hacker. People, it's not looking at it like, oh, this is what a hacker would do to break in, because that's a criminal. It's like I was looking at it as a hacker, like, how do we like innovate our defenses? How do we make them different so a criminal won't expect this when they try to come in? How can we make sure that it's like, we can put in things that a typical criminal is not going to assume is there, that we can trip them up with? It's like, what can we do to make things more secure? And that's the other side of hacking. Hacking is has nothing to do with computers. Hacking is just a mindset of how we look at the world and how we try to change things and how we try to approach things, because we don't take what the world says, hey, this is how it's supposed to be. We're always going, but what if we did this? Or can't we do this? Or why not do this? So that's how I approach the defensive side, was as a hacker, like, let's try to add this tripwire. Let's try to like add this extra layer of defense that will make it harder for them to get in and easier to detect while they're doing it. And so I did things like that. I set up when I was first starting out. I didn't have that very many innovative ones. It's like I wasn't that good at it because I had that security mindset. When you're doing physical security, you're always looking at every person as potential, threat.
Attacker,
And
yeah.
that was horrible. Yeah, that was horrible inside a corporate setting, because those are my fellow coworkers. I can't look at them like they're potential threats. It's like, but I did it first. And so it's like it's so funny because people expect me to share all the successes, but we should share some of the failures too, so others can learn from it. And so that
Yeah.
was one of my biggest failures, was my approach as security, approaching employees and making it a hostile environment, where it was like they always, when they saw me, they thought something bad was going on. They thought I was going to get them in trouble. And that was not the greatest thing. And that's the reason why I spend so much time talking about how we need to change how we approach our employees and show them that security is part of the team. We're all on the same team. But my first, like, one of my best hacks, or my best, adventure when I first started out, was I literally started looking at our security from the physical side, and and we were doing some construction. This was back in 2000. We were doing some construction on our building. We were growing out. And so I went in and I started looking at, uh, there was all these contractors coming in and out. I thought that was like, oh, this is like, we need to change the way that they have badges. It's like, we need to change the way that we're monitoring that. And also, it's like, I noticed that they were like taking all the stuff that they didn't use. It's like, or certain things and stuff, just a whole bunch of stuff. And they would put them in the dumpsters overnight. And so one night, it's like, I was like, I'm going to go and check the dumpster. And, I used to live behind one, so it was no big deal. So it's like, I was like, I'm going to go and do dumpster diving, and I'm going to check to see what people were throwing away. And I found documents that should have been shredded were in the bags. It's like, I found in the contractor's dumpster, I found blueprints to the bank. And it's like, this was a
Oh my
bank I was
God.
working at. And it's like, you do not want your freaking blueprints of your bank out there on the thing. So it was a good find. So and I wouldn't have, it took that hacker mindset to go and say, hey, why aren't we looking at these things and checking to make sure that we're not losing information just, being thrown away? So I think that was one of my biggest things. It wasn't until um 2000 and probably 9 that I started doing more red teaming things. And that was another
Hmm.
bank that I was working at, and they trusted me enough to start testing our security. And also, I went in and I was able to start getting clients to start testing their security. And I was literally like, I'm not going to try to audit you or check to see what your compliance is. I just want to see if I can rob you. It's like, if I'm just going to, like, my goal is just to rob you, then it's going to be different than if I'm trying to audit you or if I'm trying to pen test you. It's
What
like
was their
there's a
reaction
difference.
like when they heard the word robbing?
Uh, well, I to this day, I still get a little bit of pushback when people realize, like, you're robbing us. It's like, yeah, but I mean, it's like, but in a nice
In a
way,
good way.
in a good way. Yeah. So that took a little getting used to, but my first one is like, it was actually featured in Wired magazine. They actually did an article on it where it's like, I literally just went in as a I there was it was a part of a city that was doing, like, having power outages. It's like, in the western part of the US, and they were having these rolling blackouts and power outages. So I went in saying, with an electric company, I had no documentation, but I said, I'm here
Okay.
with the power electrician. We're here to check to make sure that everybody has an APCU on their machines, and I need to plug in this device and I need to test some things. And they literally gave me full access to the bank. And that was not a good thing.
Wow.
It's like, because I didn't have problem, because I looked like I would knew what I was doing, and I looked adorable and innocent and stuff, they allowed me to do these things, and it freaked out the people, because they were like, oh, it's that easy to get behind the teller line. It's like, and I was like, yeah, it's that easy.
So, what did your preparation look like at the time? Because there are a lot of videos, that I've seen of yours where you're just wearing a t-shirt and walking into the building and in the banks and making it happen. While with the little experience that I have, we would dress like, so for example, if you're going to a company, you would dress like employees and just look like what is the vibe of the company, what kind of dressing they have, and then we create badges and things like that, small things like that. But it would be interesting to know what kind of preparation you had at that time. And in this one, where you dress like obviously a power grid person, or
Yeah. No, I was wearing a DEF CON work shirt. It had DEF CON on it. It's like, I always come with warning labels. The whole point is, I want to not be dressed like 100% like I'm supposed to be there. I want the employees to question me. It's like, I'm not trying. My goal, and this is one of the things I think a lot of red teamers make the mistake of. It's like, red teamers think that their job is to break in to the company, or their job is to find a vulnerability or break or exploit the systems of their clients. That's not your goal. That's not your job. Your job is to validate the security of your clients,
yeah.
find vulnerabilities if they're there, and report them, and give them ways to figure out how to remediate those vulnerabilities. But you're not there to find the to break in or create vulnerabilities or show how you can exploit the system. You're there to make the blue team better. You're there to make the defensive team better at their job, showing them where they need to improve. And so I think once we start looking at that and we realize that if I don't get in, if someone catches me, that's a success. The client did a good
Yeah.
job. Why are we so upset when clients do a good job at their defenses? That's what we were there to test.
Yes.
and I understand. I have very bad low self-esteem, so it's like I'm always a little worried when they catch me or oh, am I showing value?
Jason, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I think you paused at showing value.
Hello? Oh,
Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can't hear you now.
Yeah, actually, your video froze at showing
No,
value.
not.
Are you able to hear me?
There's a yeah, now I can hear you. Yes, there was a little gap there.
Yeah, so your video actually paused when you were saying showing value, like showing value
Oh
to
yeah. Oh yeah. So
and the low
it's
self-esteem thing.
it's okay. Yeah. So it's very important that we show value, but you're showing value by verifying that their security is working, that their employees are doing the right thing. It's not showing value by breaking in and destroying their stuff. The value is validating their security.
Yeah, I think it's a very positive and a very constructive attitude to have. And talking of, the emulating the employees, impersonating them with clothes and other things, which I think many times we discuss that even in by various professionals who do that for a living, just like yourself. I was just wondering what actually does that, like makes it successful, even by wearing a DEFCON t-shirt and going into a bank might be the confidence levels. I think you have a very high confidence level when you are in an engagement, and that's something I think an attacker would have as well. It's so perfectly right there that it's very difficult to doubt that confidence as an employee or of the bank or any other place, which is great. So
Yeah. You bring it up that way. It's like I think it's one of those things where it's like, to be brutally honest, it's that I'm when we get down to it, and one of the things that people don't like to address is that I'm using people's prejudices against them. It's like, and that's one of the problems in our society. And it's like, and even though I think it's a problem and I don't like it, I will use it against people. And the problem is, because of the fact that my melanin is a certain shade, people assume certain things. And that's not good.
yeah, that
It's
totally
like,
works.
and I tell people the only reason that you should use white male privilege is to be able to publicly talk about how bad it is to have it. And it's like, and we need to stop making assumptions just because it's an old white guy that they have authorization to be where they're at. Just because they look like, oh, they're in a suit, they must be an important person. No, you have to validate that person. It doesn't, just because of the way they look as a stereotype of like an executive or something, doesn't mean they're actually supposed to be there. So that's one of the things I show people is like, no, you don't assume just because it's like, especially, I have never ever been stopped in an engagement the way some of my other friends have been stopped. It's like, because they've looked different than I have. It's like, or they're a different gender than I have. It's like I have had it a lot easier because of the way I look. And it's like, and because I look innocent and I look a certain way that people are expecting an executive to look, or a Microsoft employee to look. It's like, or a tech guy to look. And that is one of the things that I try to like talk about, because it is wrong for us to believe that we have to go by what a person looks like. That's the whole point of an attacker and a criminal. They are going to use your assumptions against you. It's like, I tell there's some I have friends of mine that are women in and doing social engineering engagements, and they ask me for advice like, well, how should I do it? It's like, use the misogynistic and patriarchal attitudes of the
Yeah.
employees against them. They think that you're going to be a defenseless, don't know what you're doing kind of person. It's like, use that and make them pay for it. That's how that's how you use the system, and you show the flaws. It's like, your flaw was you assumed I wasn't a threat, or I didn't know what I was doing, and that was your mistake, and that's what you need to improve on. It's like, so, and I've done this, and I've gotten into places like throughout Europe. It's like throughout South Africa, Jamaica. It's like Asia. I've robbed 5 different continents, and it's like, and so people are like, well, isn't it difficult? And I'm like, no, it's the same. It's like, because you're dealing with people and inherent biases, and it's like, and that's one of the things. It's like, when you're going after human nature, it's like, we have to, like, not just show how security is failing, but you also have to show how it's human nature and our societal, standards that are failing as well. It's like, by allowing these kind of things to happen. So, not to get too ranty or too political or anything like that. I'm not trying. It's like, it's actually political. It's just being right and being human. It's like, so, that is how it works. It's like, I have an ease of doing it where I don't have to do any preparation. There are places I have walked into the building, and I was in Nicosia, Cyprus, and I literally walked into a building. I had no clue, because usually when I'm walking into branches, I don't have every blueprint or every branch manager information when they tell me to go onto an assignment. I literally have to just ad lib it and just go straight in impromptu and break into this building. Never been in there before, never seen it before, and just try to see what I can do. And I remember walking into Nicosia, Cyprus. It's like into a branch of a bank. And I walked in with so much confidence, like, it's like, and I'm like, and then I go around this way thinking that there was going to be offices over here on this side. And so I go around the corner, dead end. It was where the stairs were going up. So it was this little alcove. And I'm like, oops. So I wait there for a minute or two. I waited for a minute or two, like I was doing something. And then I come back around, and I'm like, walking with the same kind of confidence going around, and I go behind the teller line. I say, well, I'm here. We're doing some checks with some of the outlets and the network jacks. It's like, I'm here. And they were just like, sure, why not? It's like, help yourself. And I proceeded to, and I successfully robbed that bank branch. And I walked into a dead end. It's like, the first part of the thing. And it's like, and they still let me do what I wanted to do, because I made it look like that's what I intended to do. It's like, it's all about being able to, like, respond quickly.
Yeah, I think these stereotype the aspect that you bring about, it's really very prevalent. Like when we just talk about it, you don't tend to believe it, but when you actually are in an engagement, you're surprised often that sometimes people will come help you get to where you want
Oh,
to
yeah.
be and take you there and leave you there because they believe in that stereotype so much. Like I remember in one of the engagements, we had it was short team, and we were females doing the engagement, and then we had found a few passwords, but we wanted to go to the help desk, and we were acting like auditors. So that was one of the pretexts we had taken, and then they were so, like, because females cannot lie, right? Because females won't do it. And so we went there. They showed us the entire architecture for the entire network. We got it
Oh, yeah.
all artifacts sent to our own mails, and after that we left the room. So we literally had them sitting on the systems and got what we wanted, and then left the building later on after other things. But I think that's one of the very primary things that work in this scenario.
Oh, yes. I tell people, it's like, especially for women, it's like, you go up to a guy and like, oh, I'm on a deadline, and it's like, my boss is so upset with me. It's like, I have not got this done yet. Could you please help me? I need
Just ask
you
for
look like you
help.
know what you're
Yeah.
doing. And it's just so, because guys are so stupid that way. It's like, as soon as oh, it's a damsel in distress, I must save them. It's like,
Exactly.
it's like, I will be the hero in this story. And I'm like, you're okay, guy. It's like, you do that. It's like,
Superb. But while you were talking about banks, and I remember, so there is the structure of the branches, the bank branches is quite different from the branch office, the bank offices themselves, because they
Yeah.
may have in-house, IT teams which are there, and a lot of other things, including the data centers sometimes that they will have in these places. And I remember even then, especially data center would be at the heart of any company because it's highly guarded and generally very much protected. Has there been any time that you were able to break into the data center and successfully exfiltrate whatever you wanted? Would you like to share?
Yeah, I've got on video that I showed in Goa actually, where it was like the manager walked me into the data center and like opened up the code on the door and like let me in unattended. It just like left me there because it was hilarious and sad, very sad as well, in a very funny way. Because I was like, oh, I can't believe they just did this. But I have gotten into a lot of data centers. It's like it is scary how many data centers I've been able to access. I will tell you this, and once again, this is the hacker mindset. At the bank that I used to work for, the data center, I made it where I couldn't, if you wanted to get into the data center and you were a network employee or a security employee, you could only open the door if there was another employee badging in
Oh,
within
okay.
the same time.
This is
Within 10
interesting.
seconds, it had to be two employees to badge in to allow the
Mm-hmm.
door to open. So it's like so and the best part about it, because I think like this, it's like I have so much I was the biggest threat to the bank if I ever went bad because I had so much access and I could do so many things. So I literally when I needed to go into the data center from the bank that I worked for, it took two employees to badge me in because I had to badge in, but I could not open the door at all. I had no authorization. It had to be two other employees that would escort me into the bank into the server room because I made sure since I had so much knowledge and I considered myself one of the biggest risks if I ever went bad or I got fired or if I got upset with them that I needed to. You don't just protect the company from outsider threats. You have to protect them from insider threats and potentially from yourself if you go rogue. You have to let them know that you're taking all factors into consideration. So I had the least amount of access anywhere in that bank. It's like I was the one that had the least amount of rights on the network, the least amount of rights physically, everywhere. And it's but I will tell you a story about me actually, and the reason why I do the security like this is I literally was asked by a client one time, and they were sort of jerks. They were like, "Can you actually steal a server from our server room?" And I was
Okay.
like, "Yeah." It's like that would be pretty easy. Say, "Okay, we'll give you a bonus if you can walk a server out of our server room at night." It's like because I'd already shown that I was able to get into the server room, and they were a little upset about that. And so I was like, okay, so yeah, so they were like, the scope was we're going to put a server on the floor unattached with the name on it. This is the name of it. When you see this one, you can take it out. This one right here. And it's like, I'm like, okay. And the whole server racks, all their server racks were
Mm-hmm.
these thin 1U servers. So I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be a cool little, just, I'll pick up a blade and just like, walk out the door. So that night I get in there and these guys thought they were funny. They were trying to be silly. It was an old compact. It's like 4U SCSI RAID NAS server that probably weighed like 50, 100 pounds. It was like one of those huge, big beige
Yeah.
boxes. It
Legacy.
was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was like legacy, like Lord of the Rings kind of legacy. This thing was old. Okay, it's like this is like one token ring to rule them all. It was bad, and so I was just like, oh, they trying to be funny. So I'm not carrying that big old thing trying to lug it out all the way to my car. So what I do is I go get caught by security, because I then show them the fake engagement letter, the get out of jail free card that I carry with me, because I
Okay.
carried a forged email, not the real one. I show them the forged one that says y'all have to do everything that this person says, and you can't write it down in your logs or document it, but they're doing an audit that is top secret, so let them have the way of everything. So I show them this letter, and then I got security to carry the server out and put it into
That's
my car.
amazing.
And when they saw the video of how I got the server out, they were not happy. It's like, and I was just like,
You asked for
well,
it.
guys, y'all thought y'all were funny. This is what you get. It's like, so
Oh, this is amazing.
that was
Like, this
probably my
is,
worst one.
I think this is worth being made a movie into, and because particularly because you're not just using the stereotypes, but you're exactly using, I think, the best case of an exploit where you're carrying the entire thing, and then because I think some of the most rich banks will have these mainframe systems, and then that might be their reason why they asked you to do it in the first place, to check if these can be stolen or not. But then it's all possible.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I tell people it's not there's so much gatekeeping in this industry, where it's like you've got to know this or you've got to know that. And one of the things that I've come across a lot is people talking about how you need to know programming, you need to know how to do SQL injections, or you need to know how to use Metasploit. And I'm like, motherfucker, I don't know. I don't have to know how to do a SQL injection. Okay. I just walked out with your SQL database server. Okay. It's in my
Like,
car now.
physically.
I
Who would have
I
thought?
just dropped all the tables. I just dropped all the tables. It's like, so don't talk to me about how much coding you need to know. It's like, if you have a mindset to ask what if and try to come up with solutions for these other scenarios, then you're going to do great in this community. It doesn't matter what your programming skill is, or how long you've been at it, or where you started off as. It's not about that. It's about how much passion you have to learn and to adapt.
Yeah, definitely. I think many of us especially who are starting in this industry, come with that idea that you were just talking about, and that you need to know this and that and that, and then the tech changes by the time you learn one, and there are new technologies coming in, there are new databases coming in, and then you're by the time you keep learning everything, it's more important to look at it in a hands-on fashion and be passionate about what you do, understand the system you're trying to break. You'll always
Yeah,
find a way through it.
exactly. And it's constantly evolving. It's like, and people can't keep saying that this is what's required. When I started out in security, you had to know what Novell NetWare was and how to work with
Those
OS2 warp
days.
systems. It's like, how many of them are you seeing out there right now? Exactly.
None.
And that's the point. It's because it's constantly evolving. It's like, so you don't have to know all these things, because you don't know if that's what's going to be valid in 5 years. You constantly have to learn. You have to, and one of the things that we also have a problem with is that we don't even have to worry about outside gatekeepers. We're so busy gatekeeping ourselves, going, oh, I don't know if I'm good enough for that, or it's like, I don't know
Hmm.
this enough, so maybe I shouldn't do that. And I'm like, you're not even letting the jerks gatekeep you. You're doing it yourself. It's like, get mad at you. It's like
So
we're
true.
hackers. There is no gate. Okay. It's like Neo. There's no spoon. There's no gate.
It's
Just
all in the
go
mind.
over
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
around it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's one of the things that I tell people is like, because the key thing about doing this job or doing anything good is to not limit yourself by what people say is possible, because the whatever things that people say is possible is based on what they've accomplished, and who knows if you can't accomplish more. the stuff that they think is impossible.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
stop trying to go by what is possible and go by what you can accomplish.
Yeah, definitely. In all these videos that that I have watched, or we keep seeing of yours, and there are many hacks that you keep talking about from time to time. It all looks like definitely like a cakewalk. I know with this experience, it will become a cakewalk, but there must have been times when there was a lot of stealth required, even for you to break into some place. Particularly in any physical pen testing engagement that you did. Was there anything that was challenging, which you remember you had to, work around a few things? There was no direct way of breaking in, and you had to create things or
Yeah.
work with more gadgets or anything that took a lot of work.
I will tell you, it's like one of the biggest, I think, problems is that I make it look so easy.
Yeah.
And the thing is not because it is easy, it's just because of the way that I'm built and the way that I deal with things and the way that my brain works. It is easy for me, but for other things that other people do that they feel that is like extremely easy, it's like is so difficult for me to do. And so that's one of the things we have to understand. I've been doing this kind of stuff since hold on a second. It's like I've been doing this kind of stuff since I was born. The way that, working and reading people and trying to figure out situations and just having this mindset is not something that I was taught. It's just the way that I am. That is the reason why it's like this stuff can be easy to me. One of the situations where I think it was probably one of the most difficult ones to get in, though once I explain what I did, it doesn't seem like it. It's like, but it was based on creating the luck that I had. And that's one of the things. It's like I'm very lucky. But the reason why I'm lucky is because I make the preparations and I make the thing so I can be very lucky. It's like and capitalize on it when I see it. So I was supposed to rob a place in New York City in one of the financial buildings right across the street from Ground Zero. It's like, and that is a very, very secured area. Okay. There's a lot of police. It's like that popo everywhere. It's like they just like that there was like canine units and like, SWAT guys with machine guns walking through the lobbies. It's like there was 8 security guards in the elevator lobby, and
Oh.
that's not including the upstairs lobby for the actual office that you're going in, because usually in buildings like that, the company had a whole floor or a half floor where it's like that was their whole office, right? So that was the first day I went in for recon. I was like, I am not getting in.
I could just go back and think about
I
it.
was like, the elevator lobby had 8 security guards with metal detectors and a x-ray machine. And I'm like, how is this going to work? And so I started off with like doing some low level recon. I went and said, it's like, I want to get up to a floor because I was going to do a job interview. And they were like, you have to do a, but I'm trying for what was going on. It's like, oh, you have to get a person from upstairs to come get you. It's like even for a job interview, so they had to know that you were
Oh my
coming.
God. Okay.
You don't just randomly come up to see if they have a job application. This is like a high rise. It's like, and I'm like I said, it's like I'm not used to a whole bunch of fancy jobs. It's like usually the places I usually go in, you go into the ice cream store or something like that. Like, hey, can I have an application to fill out? It doesn't work like that in the big buildings. It's like
Yeah.
you can't just walk in and see if they got applications. So I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. So I do know one thing though. It's like doing just living my life and doing physical security at first. I know that at 4:30 to around 6:30, you have a lot of people leaving, but there are some people that will show up. And also around after 4:30, you usually have the, let's just say, not the A team of security at your building. It's
Okay.
like, because
That's
this
good
is the
recon.
way physical security usually works out. And this is just history and being in physical security. From seven, from seven to 3, you have the prime team. Those are the ones that have the best seniority. They're the ones that have the most tenure. They're the ones that know exactly what they're doing and how to do it. Because from 7 to 3, that is the prime shift. Because you it's not too early in the morning, and you get out in the afternoon, and you have the rest of the evening to go out and do whatever you want to do. It's like, so 7 to 3 is the prime shift that most security people want to have. So that's their team leads and the people that interact with a lot with the building and the clients. So they want to have a really good professional team working during those business hours. And so that means the 11 to 7 shift at night. Okay, those are the people you don't really want to interact with the public at all. Okay, just y'all stay here, don't scare anybody. Okay, it's like, so they're not the greatest, they're the ones that are socially adept people. And I'm not making a dig at them, because I used to work the 11 to 7 shift because I didn't like dealing with people. So, and I was a midnight person, so I usually worked 11 to 7. But that left the 3 to 11 shift. That means your whole night is screwed. It's like, you can't go out, you can't go on dates, you can't go to dinners. You're just stuck there 3 to 11. So guess whose shift that was? The new hires. All the new
Okay.
people who aren't familiar with the process. All the people who don't know everybody in the building. All the people who aren't familiar with how the flow of traffic is. All the new hires and the people that aren't the greatest get the 3 to 11 shift. So if you're going to rob an office building, you go between 3 and 11. And 4:30 is an hour after everything is settled down and all the A team is gone. And there's now a whole bunch of traffic going on and a whole bunch of pressure and a whole bunch of stress for those new hires and those people who aren't at the top of their game. So that is the reason why I attack.
Jason, actually, your voice is it's a bit blurry. Can you go
Okay.
closer to the mic? I don't know if it's connecting somewhere else or.
It should be coming from right here. How's that? Is that
Yeah.
better?
This is very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and that is why you attack it that way, is because it's like, that's where you go. So I went in New York. It's like, and I was like, okay, my only shot is to go in at 4:30 and just see if I can try to get someone to let me in, or like let them expect. And I got lucky. It's like, because I went in and I signed in saying, I gave them my real name, my driver's license, because you had to give that at the downstairs lobby security stand. And so they gave me a badge, and then an employee had to come down to check me in. And I was like, okay, I will find a way to let her to make her think that I'm supposed to be there, and like, and figure out something. But there was another employee that was going to the same place I was going to. And so
Okay.
what I did was I started talking to him, going like, oh yeah, you're doing like, and so we started talking.
The
So when
collateral
the lady
damage
came,
showed up.
yeah, so when she came down to come pick up the the employee, we were talking. She assumed that we were together, and he just assumed
Amazing.
that I was one of the people that was supposed to go in. So she let us all up the elevator. And it's like, and as soon as she let us up into the elevator, into the floor, and she acknowledged that I was supposed to be there, I was like, oh, I got to go to the restroom real quick. And so I could break off from the actual meeting they were supposed to have. And so I literally always go to the restroom first because then I can get lost coming back.
Yeah, yeah.
And I find the mail room that didn't have anyone in, unattended. It's like the door was unlocked, the workstation was unlocked, compromised that machine immediately. So I already have access. I'm already successful. I walk right past her, going, "Hey, how's it going? You know, what's up?" And it's like, and I ignore the meeting that the other guy was in. It's like, and I just keep walking past, and then I compromise all the other machines. And I mean, it literally was just, to me, it was still, I make it sound like it was so easy, but everything had to be right. And I had to adapt instantly to those situations. And that's one of the key things. It's like, it's not easy. It's like, to do it, it's like, it just takes a lot of instant response, understanding, being hype. I'm very hyper vigilant. I'm hyper aware in most of my surroundings. And I'm always running different scenarios through my head of what's coming down and how to prepare for it. That was something from, that's one of my autism superpowers, is like being able to constantly always planning out and figuring out it sucks. It's not a good way to live. Okay. It's a good job. It makes for good employment, but it's a terrible way to live because I don't shut that off. It's like in this house, it's like right now, it's like I've got different scenarios if the power goes out or if the network goes down or what goes. I mean, just like, and I'm trying to respond to all these different things that are not going to happen. But if they do, how am I going to respond to it? And so that's what social engineering a lot is about, is looking at all the different threads and all the different potential kind of things and trying to predict which one is going to occur and be prepared for it.
This was amazing. I think so. I was thinking about it as you were talking. Any level of recon will not give you the experience that you have on the field, which is what also helped in your case, definitely. But the more you try and do the recon, the more you'll be more prepared. At the end of the day, it takes, even if you know everything, it takes a lot of conviction and guts to be there every time in a place that you completely don't know anything about. And of course beyond your recon, like for example, how is the whole layout inside? Once you get inside, you have to keep having excuses to move from one point to another and look around until you find what you are looking for. So starting, especially in a place like this, which is so challenging, and to get in, it needs first of all a lot of conviction, needs a lot of guts. So really hats off to that.
Oh, yeah. I tell people, it's like, I don't know if it's, I literally just tell people I have no shame and bad impulse control. That is that's one of my abilities.
Yeah, that could
Um,
be.
and you just walk in and it's like, and the thing is, I try to tell people, it's like, people like to say, it's like, well, yeah, you walk in confident because you're not going to get in trouble. It's like, you're not going to get in and I'm like, mother, do you think criminals are committing crimes thinking they're going to get arrested? No, they have more confidence than I'll ever have because these idiots think they're going to get away with it. It's like, I mean, that's why they're committing the crime. It's like, so yeah, there is a certain kind of, like, you have to have this audacity and this confidence of, like, yeah, I'm supposed to be here. I know exactly what I'm doing. And you have to expect people to fall for that. And most people, we don't want to acknowledge, but most people in a work environment don't really care.
Yeah, they don't.
They're not paying attention to you. They've got their own problems. They've
Problems,
got
yeah.
deadlines they got to work on. They've got a boss they've got to deal with. They've got Karen and Bob in accounting that's on their butts for something that they don't realize why they have to be pressured like this. They're dealing with all their other little things. You don't really matter that much. And once you understand how little you matter and how unimportant you are to 99.9% of the population on this planet on a daily, day-to-day basis, you will understand how freeing that is. It's like, because we all walk every day down the streets and we just look at one person and they give us a glance. I'm like, oh, they're thinking about it. No, they're not. They're not thinking about you at all. They just glanced and they got something totally else on their mind that made them give that facial expression. You didn't enter into their consideration whatsoever. It's like they are totally consumed with what's going on in their lives. It's like, and so it's sort of freeing once you realize that. It's like, why are you taking so much time to care about people you don't even know or care about? It's like, why are you so worried about how other people in public are going to perceive you when you're nothing but an NPC in their heads? It's like, you're nothing but background noise or an extra in their little movie of their life. So don't be so wrapped up in it all the time. It's like, and when you're in a work environment, you don't even list as a person in the background as character at copier machine number 3 in the credits. You're not even listed. Okay. It's like, you don't have a speaking part. You're just there. Okay. In the background.
Good for us. Yeah, so true. So so we've been talking a lot about how you started and what kind of engagements you have been through. But I just cut to today, which is, the current times that we are in. A lot of things have changed. Like we have a lot of internet penetration in general, like even for individuals, and then for companies, we have seen the COVID days and others where, companies went completely remote, employees were working remotely, and now they are back on their feet. They've started coming back to offices, but the network boundaries have blurred completely. We still don't know. A lot of companies are in hybrid mode, and organizations, people are working from anywhere. They have multiple devices that they work with. So physical security, the definition itself is also changing through all of these times. So in the recent times, have you been on any place where suddenly you realize that, hey, a lot has changed, or the ways of working in the way you used to work earlier will need to change, or it'll need to adapt with the new tech, the new equipments which are there? Because there's, even with physical security, you have a lot more monitoring going on, a lot more, for example, sensing. So there are motion sensors, there are a lot of other things that people are employing. There are way more configurations that might have been enabled. So what does it look like today for you?
I don't know yet, to be honest. I'm supposed to be robbing a bank in July, and that'll be my first physical engagement that I've done for a client in about like 2 or 3 years. It's like it's been yeah, exactly. I've not, because there's the pandemic, the apocalypse was hard on site visits and stuff, because it's like, frankly, there were some people that were willing to risk it. Not me. I'm like, no, I'm not doing on-site engagements. It's like I had several offers of like, would you like to come on site? I said, no, I'm sorry, not when people are dropping like flies everywhere around me. I don't think so. So now it's like it's gotten a little bit different, and it's like, and so um, my first thing, I've done some vishing attacks. I've done some phishing attacks. It's like so, and those have been quite successful. But to go and actually do on site, yeah, it's been a while. We're going to see how it works out. Am I thinking it's going to be any different than any of the others? No. It's like we all expect things to be different. We all expect things that are like, oh, it's going to be so different now. Or no, it's not. It's human nature. We
Yeah.
do not realize how much of human nature is bound into what we do. No one really thinks about it. And I don't understand. Since I was little, it was a survival instinct to try to understand how humans operate. I do not operate the same way normal people operate. I don't think the same way. I don't do things the same way. I don't look at things the same way. So I had to study for my own survival how the population, the majority of the population operate to survive. So I became a student of that. And I'm like, and people say, it's like, well, I bet you it'll be very different to rob people in this country because we know we do these things. Like, no, it won't. It's like, well, oh yeah, I talked about how you robbed in this, but this country, we're so no, you're not. It's like, it's all the same. I don't care if you're in Delhi, Mumbai, Goa, Boston, Beijing, Rio. It's like Toronto. It doesn't matter. It's people, human nature. I've robbed people on 5 continents, not because I understand all their different cultures or how they operate in their languages. Nope. I know people. I understand how humans operate and how human nature is. And that's me good at a job.
Yeah, I think how much ever we talk about zero trust in technology and networks and so many other places, I think with humans, the level of trust and the instincts in the way they respond to situations more or less always remains the same. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And also just it's not even about trust, it's just inattention. It's just feeling secure, so therefore having your guard down.
yeah. But you were talking about wishing and phishing that you've been doing recently. Many times we would have these phishing engagements that we do, and many companies do that very regularly, maybe annually, or they have their own cycles. The phishing drills that they do often end up teaching many individuals who might have fallen for the fish and things like that. Do you think phishing drills, like it's a candid question, but does it work in your experience?
If it's done properly, I think that's one of the biggest problems we have in our industry is that we think phishing testing exercises that are not there to actually teach employees what to look out for. They're there is just like, oh, we had to do a test. Okay, blah, blah, this many people failed. Okay. It's like, we need to get better at making more memorable phishing attacks so people can go and stop and say, oh, wow. Okay, that was bad. It's like, oh, I didn't even think of it that way. Like, I literally robbed a bank in April with the eclipse. I robbed a bank with a solar eclipse. And I did it through a phishing email.
Okay, that's quite interesting. Was it was it the pretext of the phishing email, or?
Was the fact that there was such a huge amount of buzz in the United States about the solar eclipse. You know,
Okay.
everybody's going crazy about the solar eclipse. And especially in certain states, there's like 4 or 5 states where the solar eclipse was going to be total solar eclipse.
Okay.
But that also meant that it was going to go through very small towns that weren't used to having tourists. And so they were going even worse. They were like, there was the bank that we were robbing was in a state, one of the flyover states where the total eclipse was going to occur, and literally had the mayor in the news saying, y'all need 2 weeks worth of gas. It's like, make sure you have all your prescription medicine. Make sure you have at least 2 weeks of food supplies. Hide your wife, hide your kids. They all coming to see the sun. It's like, I mean, it was hilarious
Overexcited
how
about
they
the.
responded. Exactly. And so, and since the headquarters was in this town, I was like, I sent out an email and it said, it was coming from a marketing company that doesn't exist, but it was like as behest of the CEO of the company with their name in it, was saying something to the effect of, we're starting a new advertisement campaign starting April 2nd titled Nothing Eclipses Blah Blah Bank. And on this new page, we're going to have the solar eclipse map that's going to happen on April 12th. It's like we're going to have and all these new benefits that will happen at the solar eclipse that we're going to give our customers. It's like our new customers and our old customers. If they do this, if they go to the website during the solar eclipse and they see this, they'll be able to, like, do all this. It's like all these different kinds of things. It's like, and so, and from the CEO saying, like, you don't have to go to this website, but before we launch it, if you would like to look at it and see what it is and see how it works, feel free to log in. It's private right now, and we don't want this released to the public yet. So, and because it was private, as soon as they clicked the link, it went to a Microsoft Authenticator login page, which our team was controlling. It's like, and they had to log in with their network login. But notice the key thing that I did in that fish, and this is one of the things that I think a lot of companies fail at, is that I did not use an emotional trigger. I told the employees they didn't have to go to the site if they didn't want to. It wasn't going to impact their job in one way or the other. They weren't going to get a reward one way or the other. Just, hey, if you're curious, click the link. And I didn't tell them to click the link. I just said, here's the site if you would like to look at it. I didn't tell them that they had to. That's very important, because if you use an emotional trigger to get your employees for the test, then you are the one that failed the test, because now your employees are going to be upset that they clicked the link instead of trying to learn the lesson of, like, not being too curious. They're just learned that you're a jerk. There's been companies that said that, oh, we're giving you these $1,000 bonus. It's like for everybody, if you click here and register. I would like, if my company did that to me and told me that there was a bonus and then it turned out to be a test, I may have not have been an insider threat before, but I definitely am now. It's like, I'm definitely going to click on all the links. I'm definitely going to find a way to screw you over, because now I'm angry. It's like, you promised me money and then you're going, psych, you failed. Oh no, it don't work out that way. It's like, so when I do demonstrations of phishing attacks for employees, I make them horrible. I make them all kinds of emotional triggers. But if I'm actually sending a phishing attack to an employee, there are zero emotional triggers in that email.
I think that takes a little bit of, so this is a very nuanced thing that you're talking about, Jason. It also
Yes.
takes a little bit of an expertise. I think many people who are starting new would fall back on emotional triggers, urgency, or something of that sort.
Yep.
But to be able to craft a pretext which you're talking about definitely takes a level of expertise, but also understanding the context, the mindset of the people. And everything is so beautifully tied together in a mail where you are not even asking for anything. You're basically maybe working on, which is very prevalent these days, particularly for the current generation, is the fear of missing out on things. Maybe there are other employees who would sign up for it and let me just sign up, so which does not require too much pushing, but just creating that feeling of I want to belong to a certain context.
I want to see what everybody else is looking at. I want to see what the new thing
Exactly.
is. And it is nuanced, but and that's one of the things I think that we're missing in information security, is that we're missing the nuance. We're looking at patterns and we're looking at how the scalability, but we're not keeping in mind that we're not auditing servers who don't have feelings. We're auditing people and our fellow coworkers who do. And a server is not going to get upset if you use a 0-day on them and compromise their system, or if you use MSO 867 and get in. They're not going to be upset with that because they're a computer. But people get upset when you show them that they made a mistake. And that's part of our job, is showing others how the mistakes happened. Your part of your job is to make sure they learn the lesson and not just the resentment from it. And that's one of the things I think that we fell out a lot. I mean, literally, I'm giving a class at Black Hat and another one at DevCon on how to talk to people and how to make this a positive experience.
Oh, this is amazing. So, we are actually nearing towards the end of the episode. But generally, I have this. So we ask one thing which is slightly in the future. It is actually not in the future. Also, the questions that I have been wondering, there is a lot. So this is pertaining to the LLMs coming in and the AI, the machine learning, deep learning kind of technologies coming in, where things are becoming much easier for both the attackers and the defenders. I think the defending teams are still figuring out in what all ways we can leverage it. The attackers, to an extent, have already started using some of these things in, for example, creating deep fakes in their pretext that they create, in automating the social media recon, and a lot of other places which they're doing. What do you have to say? Have you used it as well? How effective that's going to be, and particularly, what are the teams who are listening to you today can take away from it, and how can they protect themselves from these technologies?
I think we need to look at AI like old street light gaslighters looked at electricity when it first came out. It's like, or we need to look at AI how blacksmiths looked at it when the horseless carriage came out. It's like AI, any new technology is going to take people's jobs that just didn't know how to adapt to the new technology. It's like AI is not going to replace you if you couldn't already be replaced by a small shell script anyway. Okay. It's like AI should be looked at as something to be used to enhance what you can already do naturally. It's not going to be able to replicate what you do naturally. It's going to enhance what you're going to be able to do. So I think if we start looking at AI as a way to just make us do things better that we just don't have the time to do, like I got AI to create a website for me to use as a weapon. It's like a weaponized website. It's like, and could I have done that? Yes. Could I have done it in less than the hour that it took AI to create it for me? No.
Exactly.
It's like,
It's
and
much
that's the
faster.
reason why, and that is how you use AI. You use AI to do that. Like I'm writing a new book. It's like about some of my hacker adventures and like all the other places. I don't have the executive function as like to go and look at every site that I went to. Like I want to put all the places, all the tourist attractions that I went to in different countries around the world. And I like, oh, I would love to be able to put out this is their website, this is their GPS coordinates, this is their hours of operation, and this is a little blurb about this tourist site. I don't want to do all that. So I just go to Copilot or ChatGPT and say, hey, look at this site, look at this location here, and give me a small blurb on it and give me the GPS coordinates and the opening hours and how much it costs for admission currently. And boom, 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 there it is. And then that goes in my book. It's like
Yeah.
that's what AI does. AI will help you with some of the tasks, but you're the one that has to create it. You're the one that has to edit it once it's done because it's not going to be perfect. It's going to give you a start.
Yeah. So when it comes to, for example, pretexts which are created this way. So for example, this is a very, I think, very naive example, but you would identify an email which is a fish also through, for example, the spelling mistakes and the grammars and some of the other things. But then today with the AI coming in, it becomes much easier to craft these kind of mails. Similarly with the images, the voices, which can be impersonated having AI, because it can also impersonate a voice, and extending that to business email compromises. So you would remember the days when you would have, I think we had a wave of where banks were facing this, and we had sort of phishing emails where we were impersonating maybe, CXOs and asking for transactions to happen and things like that. So now with voices being there, how will people on the other side, especially teams who are defending, can actually deal with something like that?
Do a time real quick. I'm going to check something real quick, but I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So I would say the way that we deal with that is very simple. It's like, it's not the one that you want to hear. It's like, because it's not going to be another blinky box that solves it. We're not going to be able to change, and have another AI filter that detects the AI from the other side. And we're like having AIs battle AIs. And it's just another episode of BattleBots 2.0. It's like, no, what I think it's going to be is the solution is what it's always been, which is getting our employees better educated and more situationally aware to ask themselves, I wasn't expecting that email. Why is that email there? Why is that person sending it to me? I don't think I should click that link. This doesn't seem right. This isn't something that I deal with on a daily basis. Why is this coming all of a sudden? They say that this is legitimate, and they say that they say it's this person, but I didn't get a heads up on this. Why is this coming out of the blue? Getting your employees to ask themselves these questions is what's going to help defeat these new AI attacks. It's not going to be another AI to help us with it. It's one of the things is we keep trying over and once again, like I tell you, it's human nature. We keep trying over and over and over to get technology to protect people instead of focusing on getting our people to protect the technology. And that's the way it should be. It's not the people that need the protection. It's the technology that needs to be protected. It's like, because when the technology fails, and it will fail, the people are totally clueless because they had all their hopes and all their dreams and stuff with the technology was going to protect them. So why did they have to be prepared for an attack? Why did they have to be ready for someone attacking them? It's like they didn't, because technology was supposed to be there protecting them. That's why it fails. So if we start getting people better equipped to protect the technology, well, when the people fail, like they will, because it's just like technology, they're going to fail. Now you have the technology as the safety net. Now the technology can go and do a second glance and go like, oh yeah, you don't fall for that. Don't click on that. It's like, and then that's how it works better.
This is, I think, amazing, and this sums up a lot of things, like the entire fundamental of social engineering and various forms that we have today, and the threats from it. It's the people, not the technology. At the end of the day, thanks a lot, Jayson, for this episode and answering so many tons of questions, great stories that you shared with us.
Well, thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it. I hope some of it resonates with people, and it's all about just sharing knowledge and trying to make things better. So hopefully it does.
Yeah, thanks. And I would like to give a shout out here in this episode. Jayson has also written an amazing book, Dissecting the Hack, The Forbidden Network. It's in 2 parts. Definitely go and check it out. I'll be linking the book and where you can buy it in the comments in the section below that we have. So do check it out, and along with other things. So he has various other websites with lovely videos of his adventures, of his hacks, which I will also link in the description below. So thanks
I
everyone
appreciate it.
for joining us today, and thanks Jayson for being here on the show. We'll see you all in the next episode. Bye-bye. Hi everyone, I hope you saw the entire episode till the end. Do remember to check out the rapid fire, it's way more interesting, I would say, and I'll keep that a surprise. But if you like the episode, please like, subscribe, and share this in your circles. Let more people learn about it, especially the attitude that comes with being one of the best hackers on the planet and what that means. What is the level of preparation that goes into it? What are the nuances? I think in this episode, we saw a lot of things through various hacks, through various stories that Jayson had to tell us. What do you do in a situation that's extremely challenging? What are the kind of things that are called as luck generally, but may not really be that, as long as you have done your preparedness much better than before. So it's about you improving as a hacker, and what towards the end you will also know what it really means to be a hacker. So yeah, if you're looking forward to more such content, let me know what you would like me to ask Jayson, maybe in future episodes, or other similar experts in the field. I'll look forward to your comments and your feedback. We'll see you all in the next episode. Until then, keep listening to Breakpoints. Bye-bye.